Welcome to Binge Breakthrough, the podcast designed to help you finally break through the barriers that keep you stuck, feeling out of control around food. I'm Master Certified Coach Jane Pilger, and I want you to know that no matter how long you've been struggling or what you've tried, food freedom is possible, and I'm here to show you how. After years of therapy, eating disorders treatment, restrictive diets, and reading all the books, I was still stuck in the on-again, off-again cycle of restricting and binging until I was able to see it all from a new perspective that changed everything. Each week, I will share the strategies, tools, and mindset that allowed me to overcome my decades-long battle with binge eating. Your journey to body trust starts now. Let's dive in. Hello, trusted listener. Welcome to Binge Breakthrough. I consider you a trusted listener because I trust that you are listening to this podcast, this very particular episode, for a reason. I trust that you are going to hear something today that is going to be impactful for you on your journey. So sit back and just get curious. What am I going to take away from this episode? What is it about this episode that I really need to hear today? Put your brain to work on finding some incredible insight, some aha moment, something you have not considered before, and your brain will find it. The last couple of episodes, we've talked about understanding the brain, how the brain works, how powerful it is when we put our brain to work on answering a powerful question. So if you haven't heard those two previous episodes, definitely go check them out. You do not need to have listened to them to get a lot of value out of this episode. But if you find benefit from this episode and you want to know more about how the brain works, how questions work, go back to the last couple of episodes and you can check those out as well. But for now, ask yourself this powerful question. What amazing insights and takeaways am I going to take away from this episode on my own journey that are going to allow me to create this breakthrough for myself? All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. Tell me what to eat. Have you ever wished someone would just tell you what to eat? Does it sometimes seem like if you could just find the perfect combination of foods to eat, quantities, what you're eating, the timing, that all of your food struggles would just disappear? I have definitely been there. So when I was in high school, I went one summer during my high school years, I went on a trip. It was an 8-week trip to Paraguay. It was like a little mini Peace Corps type of trip. During this trip, I gained a significant amount of weight in a short period of time. And I came back from this trip with stretch marks. I came back and not very many clothes in my closet fit. And this was really, when I look back, I can see that my food focus really started. I was very determined to lose this weight, to get rid of these stretch marks. And when I look back on this time, I remember thinking that I just wished I had so much money, like Oprah did, so that I could hire a private chef who would cook all of my meals, like Oprah did. I just thought that would be the answer to all of my problems. Everything would be amazing, and I would have no problems if I could just hire a private chef who would cook my meals. I would just eat exactly what they made for me, and then everything would be great. And in hindsight, I can see this period of time was the period of time that I really started dieting. I was so focused on changing my body. I thought that this extra weight I had on me, it was bad, it was wrong. I was counting calories. I was tracking all of my food in a spreadsheet. I had never done this before. I was trying to eat less food so I could lose weight. And every single thing that I was doing was setting myself up to be way more focused on the food. And through this process, I started looking outside of myself for anyone to tell me what to eat, to tell me how to do this, how to lose the weight. I read books, I read magazines, I read anything I could get my hands on. Now, I have always been a voracious learner. And I think this is a great quality of mine. And it's a quality that I actually love. But I can also look back and see how I've spent a lot of time learning, but I haven't spent an equal amount of time actually applying what I was learning. I have taken in a lot of information, but I haven't always applied the information that I've taken in. And I find this is very common. This is not unique to me. This is very common for people, particularly people who are trying to solve a problem. You may be one of these people. You may have consumed a lot of information about stopping binge eating. The question becomes, are you consuming content? Are you consuming information? Or are you actually applying? I know for me, for a long time, I wasn't necessarily applying, or I was trying to apply things that maybe weren't a great fit for me. So, for example, I had a subscription to Clean Eating Magazine, and it told me how many calories I should be eating as a woman who wanted to lose weight or be within a certain weight range. I also became a vegetarian at this time. It was mostly due to my overall preferences and animal protection reasons, or so I told myself at the time. But I can look back now and I can see that the decision to become a vegetarian coincided with the intentional focus on trying to lose weight through calorie counting, food tracking, increasing my exercise, and having a lot of shame and hatred over my body shape and my very recent, very red, and very noticeable stretch marks, especially in my volleyball uniform that pretty much looked like what we might call granny panties today. I knew what my preferences were around food and around eating, but I didn't trust myself to make decisions. I just thought it would be so much easier if someone told me what to do, what to eat, and how much to eat. And this is where things went horribly wrong. How could anyone else know what I should be eating? How could anyone else know how many calories I should be eating? I was exercising quite a bit. Now, mostly in an attempt to lose weight and to make up for any previous binges, out of control moments where I thought I ate too much food. But when I look back on how much I was exercising and I reflect on the number of calories I was eating based on what the magazine said would be right for me, it is no wonder that I was binging. I would get to the end of the day and I would not have any calories left in my budget, but I would be so hungry. I had no sense of how to listen to my body. I just thought I shouldn't be hungry because I had eaten everything I was supposed to eat. I had no budget left over. I should not be hungry anymore. I thought that there must be something wrong with me, that following this plan did not lead to the ultimate satisfaction and the weight loss that I was looking for. Now, sometimes I just would not let myself eat anymore because I had reached my limit. Other times I just said, screw it. I already blew it, so I might as well just stop counting and I'll start again tomorrow. And since I'm not going to count anymore and I'm starting over tomorrow, I might as well eat all the things I'm not going to be able to eat tomorrow. And I won't even know because I'm not even going to look because I'm not counting anymore. It just doesn't even count. We'll just start over tomorrow. Now, of course, these magazines had no idea what my activity level was like. Nothing was really designed for me. It was just some formula or suggestion I read that was supposed to apply to any woman. So then I attended a few weight loss groups. I went to Overeaters Anonymous. I did another online Christian-based group that counted food groups and the number of servings that you were allowed at any particular meal or snack. And I can remember submitting my reports to a sponsor, especially after a binge, and they would tell me I'm not supposed to eat that many servings at one time. Really? Like I didn't already know that? It was like that time that I shared about in a previous podcast episode where I went to the hospital after eating a box of protein bars with artificial sweeteners in them, and the doctor told me I wasn't supposed to eat the whole box. Thanks, doc. Thank you, sponsor. Like I don't know what the rules are. Like I don't know I'm not following the rules. Now, when I was younger, I was more willing and I think probably even more able to follow external guidelines, to follow what other people told me I should be doing. This was often to my own detriment, but I was more able and more willing to do that. I was much more in the tell me what to eat category. I would very willfully go against my body's own wisdom and guidance. Now, I did not see the feedback that my body was giving me as feedback. I saw it as evidence of brokenness. And I wonder, do you, trusted listener, do you do that as well? Do you see what your body is telling you as evidence of brokenness, that there is something wrong with you? I find that many people that struggle with food do exactly that. They think they are broken. They think something is wrong with them. They think that because they are not able to eat in the way that they think they are supposed to or that they should, that it is evidence that there is something wrong with them. That is not the case. So I just want you to know, always and forever, you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. Anything that feels like, oh my gosh, there is no way nobody else feels this way, thinks this way, acts this way around food, I want to promise you that there are a lot of people that do. I also want you to know that it is possible for these patterns to shift. This is not something that you have to deal with for the rest of your life. Change is possible. So as I got older, I think I naturally started to listen to my body just a little bit more, but there is always like a sense of fear. I now know it was really my own internalized fat phobia. I was afraid of getting fat. I was afraid that if I let myself eat whatever I wanted, that I would not stop eating and that I would literally gain hundreds of pounds. I used to watch shows like My 600-Pound Life with fascination. I was just sure that I could and I would be that person if I wasn't very diligent and very controlled about my food. And I remember telling one of my eating disorder therapists about this, was telling her about my fascination with these shows and how I was just confident that would be me and how much I was protecting myself from that. And I remember her assuring me that I would not become that person. She said that was not the way I was wired, physically, emotionally, or mentally. And somehow I was able to believe her. And I stopped believing that I would gain hundreds of pounds and I would be to the point where I would not be able to leave my house. But I still had my own fat phobia and my fears of gaining weight, and specifically around what other people would think if I did. And as the years went on, and I continued to seek outside guidance on what to eat, I noticed more of a rebellion. I would literally ask someone or some resource what to eat. And when it would tell me, I would try to follow it. But it wasn't food that I actually liked or wanted to eat. So then I would rebel. It was like I was giving the food a big middle finger and thinking, don't tell me what to eat. I'm not going to eat that stuff. So I'm just going to eat, quote unquote, whatever I want. Now, here is what I find fascinating about this idea of eating whatever I wanted. In my mind, it was basically anything opposite of what I was being told to eat. So think about this for yourself. So many people tell me, like, I just want to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. And they have this idea that eating whatever you want means like eating the absolute opposite of what you eat now, or totally eating out of control. Or maybe you are literally just eating sweets all the time for hours on end. It's so interesting to think about, like, when you think about eating whatever you want, what do you think about? Because for me, in my mind, it was the opposite of what I was being told to eat. But it's actually so different than what I truly want. The truth is, I want to eat food that makes me feel good, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I want to eat food that feels supportive, that gives me the energy and the nourishment to pursue my goals and dreams. I want to enjoy my food and find a lot of pleasure and satisfaction in it. And I want food to have its place as one of many amazing components and things that I look forward to in any given day. I don't want to eat a bunch of food that makes me feel like crap, drains my energy, and takes me away from what is truly important in my life. So when we say, I want to eat whatever I want, that is more often a sign of rebellion, a sign that somewhere we think someone else is telling us what to eat. And so in return, we're saying, don't tell me what to eat. So if this is you, if you often think, I just want to be able to eat whatever I want, but I don't, because either you're afraid of gaining weight, or you're afraid you won't be able to control yourself, or you're afraid of what others might think, ask yourself this question. Who is stopping me from eating what I want? Whose voice am I hearing that is telling me that I'm not eating in the way that I am, quote unquote, supposed to? How do I really want to eat? Ask yourself this question. If I could eat exactly what I wanted, whenever I wanted it, what exactly would it look like? Can I paint a really clear picture of it? Is this truly what I want for myself? Or am I thinking from a place of rebellion? If I'm thinking from a place of rebellion, what do I truly want for myself? If I could wipe the slate clean from all of the diet mentality, from the messages from society, from my mother, from other influences, and people who live up to the thin ideal, what do I want for myself when it comes to my choices around food and what I eat? Who is the best authority for deciding what, when, and how much to eat? Only you. You are your best authority. Now, don't get me wrong here. I am not saying that seeking outside advice is wrong or bad. So many of us literally have so many rules in our heads about what to eat and what not to eat that we don't even know what we want or what we like. But here's what I do think is a problem. It's seeking outside advice without turning inwards to see if it feels resonant to you. Do you like what other people are telling you? Or are you just doing it because you think that's what you need to do to get the result you want? What feels resonant with the way you want to live your life? Let's take writing down your food, for example. Some people would say when you write down what you eat, you're more aware. You might make better decisions. You can make more conscious decisions, etc. But for me, I just don't want to write my food down. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't want to be so focused on my food that I need to write it down. I also don't want to weigh myself. It's not helpful to me. Focusing on a number doesn't allow me to focus on how I feel. I am so much more than what I weigh and what I eat. Placing extra emphasis on both takes away the emphasis that I can place in all of the other areas of my life. Now, for some people, they really like writing down their weighing themselves. I'm not here to say what is good or bad or right or wrong. There are a lot of tools out there. But if you find yourself rebelling with what you are eating, or you find yourself binging after seeing a certain number on the scale, it might be time for you to think for yourself about how you want to eat. Now, if you want to hear an entire episode about the scale and weighing yourself, you can go back to episode 19 and take a listen and see what resonates for you. Now, nobody can know better than you what the best fit and the best approach for you is. It might take some experimentation and some time to figure it out. But stay connected with what feels like a valid choice for you and what you want for yourself versus what you think you should be doing. Your body is your best guide for any decision, including and especially what to eat. Now, if this is new to you, it might take some time to discern how to hear it, how to listen to it, but it will tell you. The body is always communicating with you. The skill is learning how to tune in and respond accordingly. All right, that's what I have for you today. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to Binge Breakthrough. If you want to understand why you feel out of control with food sometimes, I've created just the thing for you. Discover the number one reason why and get 3 things you can do today. Visit bingebreakthrough.com/quiz and you'll have your answer and your next steps within minutes. That's bingebreakthrough.com/quiz.